Hey everybody, happy Easter. Y'all surprised me. I thought everybody's gonna be in bed and I'm gonna be talking to myself, and that's okay because I have a video to share that I just wanted to share with y'all. Um, Chuck, Mr. Boswell, Emily, Ragnar, Echo, Terry, Eddie, Patrick. It's so good to see all y'all tonight. I hope y'all had a good day. We all met up at the park and I got to take pictures of my 2-month old grandson smiling and take pictures of my 4-year-old granddaughter hunting Easter eggs, and praying and just being a family together. My son in law's mother was there, all the kids. It was good. Good day. Eddie, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna share a video with y'all real quick and then I'll put a link out. Oh, that's awesome, Eddie. I need a scooter. I'll be all over the place. Wonder what's up with that, Chuck. Weird. I'll drop a link in a second. I'm going to share something with y'all real quick.
On Easter, and it is me and Shan's wish and all the pups that y'all have the happiest, most blessed Easter ever in all time. We do. I can remember all my life getting up early on that Sunday morning, and there was me and Dale and Randy and Cindy, and Mama would gather us all up, make sure we was clean. She made sure we washed behind our ears on that day, and we'd head off to church, and then everybody was duded up. But it was all about remembering really what the reason was, and that was a risen Savior. Now, it meant so much to have a family that believed in all these things, and we all gathered around the table and then we blessed the food. And I think back on that now sometimes as when I was on a ranch so many years ago, and they call what it'd say family night. We'd been in about 4 weeks, and I can remember the boss man coming over and telling me, he said, now, tomorrow night, Ken, he said, instead of feeding this crew of about 15, he said, they're going to be about 38 or 40 people. He says, what we call family night. They'd usually pick a night during the stay that you was out there cooking on a ranch to where the wives could come, the kids could come, everybody could just join around the wagon. But as I seen all them gathered around that table and I told them we was going to bless the food, it made me miss mine. It made me miss the opportunity of sitting around a table and being able to join hands. I can remember all the day before them cowboys had branded cattle all day long. Wasn't one of them deals to where they was going to quit at 4. It was plumb till dark 30. And when we're talking about branding cattle, you have a piece of iron that's got an initial on the end of it, or a design or an emblem there, and it's burned in white hot embers, or maybe a flame from an old propane torch to where it is glowing red hot. And when you place a brand On a yearling, you're marking it as ownership. And I always noticed that if people didn't brand just right, too, or it's too light, and you're going through the fall, it might, what we call, hair over. You couldn't see it anymore. Now, folks, we're all branded by one thing or another. And what does that brand represent? Is it a brand of clothing that you wear? Is it something that you believe in? Is that what your brand stands for? There's going to be things that come along too in life that want to tarnish your brand, that want to make you think maybe it's not worth it. Well, folks, I'm telling you for sure, the brand we get from Jesus Christ is not a mistake. And we need to wear it proudly. Always let it be seen. Don't let it be like some old long-haired yearling and the brand get covered over to where nobody can see it. Wear your brand proudly and believe in what it stands for. So many times when I grew up, I always heard them old timers say, riding for the brand. So folks, when you saddle a horse up and you're branded, who are you riding for? Fear and doubt will try to cover your mark at times, but if it's solid, your brand will outlast time and the elements. What's your brand and what do you stand for? You know, as we're talking about cattle and branding and family night at the wagon, it sort of gets me to thinking about all the cattle that I sorted in life through a set of old pens just like this out here behind us, the dust. But I wrote a poem for a dear friend of mine so many years ago that passed away and I'd just like to share it with y'all. And it's called The Last Sorting. We all watched and waited as the good Lord sorted stock. He was carefully picking and choosing as he stood on the solid rock. He was checking brands as they come by the pearly gates. He controlled their destiny, and it was he who held their fate. Some were worn and weary, others blind and lame, young and old alike, but they all cried out his name. The saints pushed each one down an alley made of gold. There they stood in silence as the tally book was told. Some were guided toward the light, while others were cast aside, never to be seen again. Into the darkness they would ride. Some brands were very visible, and others were hard to see. Then I began to wonder, had my life made the right mark on me? Had I helped my neighbor? Had I always been fair? Did I choose kindness and love over hate and despair? Was I branded with the blood that was shed for me on that everlasting promise of life from the cross at Calvary? With each one that got closer, and finally it was my time, then I heard the Lord say, let him through. This one's one of mine. Well, me and Shan and all the pups, we wish you many, many happy Easter blessings on this day, but throughout the year that's coming up. Each and every one of you are a blessing to us, and we want you to know that because y'all are truly family. Remember in life as you go through it, and the horse that you're riding down the trail, whether it be a taxi, a bicycle, or actually a horse, you're riding for something. You're riding for a brand. What does your brand stand for? God bless you each and every one, and we hope you have a blessed day.
I love the poem. Let's see. Um, oh, let me get the link. So some of y'all know him. That's the first video I've seen him do, I think. But I'm subbed and it was just a good message for today. Hey Cindy, T-Girl. It's good to see y'all. Ragnar. Jim, you're welcome to come up. Chuck, Echo, whoever wants to. So I had a message. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Cindy. Yeah, I thought that everybody be busy with family and oh, I understand, Mr. Bobby. See if this works for Chuck. There you are. I wonder why you weren't there a while ago. Hi, Double Lot. Good to see you. Hey, Chuck.
What's going on?
Not much.
Fighting with my stuff all day here, so
Excuse
I'm
me.
running shit right now in the background to see what's up. I couldn't even get into Google earlier. Google Mail, none of it.
Wow. Well, you're going to have a lot of email all of a sudden. Did y'all do anything today?
Sat here. Vicky went to sleep. I made stuffed a couple of chickens and then made green beans with bacon and stuff in them.
No.
Had stuffed chicken and that. Didn't have nobody come out. It's kind of holidays around here. Got 4 kids, grandkids, and the two that live here is the one you see. Used to do all kind of shit with people. Now that since COVID, people are so scared of their damn shadows.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'm gonna remember that shit when stuff comes down the pike. Worried about being around me when the cold was out. Okay, you can't be close during a tragedy, then you really don't need to be close when it's all the bottom busts out of it. Kind of makes
Well,
you think most people are after something bad train of thought. But Vicky woke up in a bad mood. She had to go to work. I was in a good mood cooking, trying to be holiday-y, and she woke up all dreary because of the holidays. I guess because of the grandbabies and stuff.
yeah.
We
I
got
know.
a little spat, and it got settled before she left.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to see the kids, but they pulled it together and said, "Come on, Mom." My daughter bought me two new dresses for Easter. I've never gotten an Easter present.
That's how the generation behind us get to us with their generation under them. Use them grandbabies as a tool. Sorry to sound so dark.
It's okay. I mean, I understand. There's a few of mine that's been done that way, but these two littlest ones, Their mama's not going to do that. My son-in-law is a little freaked out. And I'm like, how long have I been telling y'all this? And now he's all, I'm taking my family to another country. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. That's not the way to handle this.
Yeah, Biggie just called, told me her phone's off. Mine probably is, and I guess too we didn't ain't got it for auto sale or it's auto pay. So
Uh, yeah. Hey, Annie. Annie, I agree. We need to. And that's what I was telling my son-in-law. I said, no, that's not the way you do. You don't run away from it. Where are you going to go that it's any better? Europe. Well, it's not any better there. We've had people here from, we've seen the news from there. And it's the um, financial thing that he's all worried about and changing. And he even sent me a thing and it said about all the other countries doing it too. And I said, well, tell me where this is going to be better for you. I'd like to know. Eggy bread. How are you doing? Frank, good to see you. Oh, but I told my son-in-law, I said that the solution is the things that they don't have, the things that they wouldn't even know what to do with if they had it, is just being human. Just somehow, some way, we have got to build families, communities, counties, states. No, I don't think anybody's coming to save us. Not in that way. Like now, I do trust in God, but I think that, okay, the way I see it is for the past hundreds of years, this hadn't been a new thing. All the things that have been shown to me by y'all in this community, all the history, all the everything that's happened keeps repeating itself. And it just seems like it, everyone wants to put the blame on somebody or something. And it's just kind of like, I'm going to make some people mad, but it seems to me like we've kind of failed as humanity in the way that God intended us to live.
Hey, happy Easter, Bonnie and Chuck.
Thank you. Happy Easter to you, Jim.
I think it's going to be an interesting week with what's going on in Taiwan.
Yeah, that's another little tiny concern.
Yeah, then if from what I've been reading, the port in LA and in New York City, I think we're being basically it's an embargo China's placing upon the United States. And then I
Yeah,
was shocked to read um how Joe sold all these leases in the Gulf of Mexico and
yes,
some of the I wonder what Mr. Curry's gonna think of all this. He's against us using, fossil fuel.
yeah.
It'll take probably 6 months to a year for us to even see any of that fuel because they got to put oil rigs out there and drill for oil. But some of what's going on doesn't make sense at all.
Agree. It doesn't. And so that's what makes me think what's really going on. Because it's just, you know, we all have our opinions, we all see different things happening. And so, is it in our control? Really? Is it?
Well, everything's in God's control.
Yes.
Like I said before, last week on 10 Show, it could be God's trying to use Trump to free his people. Figure none of us know what the heck's going on. We read
And,
news, but we still don't really know if what we're reading is fact or fiction.
right.
That's the whole problem. And the funny thing, everybody, okay, where you are, Barney, has gas gone up much?
No.
Okay, it's gone up around here about 20 cents a gallon, but the fuel oil price has come down about 12 cents everywhere I can find online. That doesn't make sense. You figure crude oil went up from like 66 to 68, then to $80, just like that when Saudi Arabia announced they were going to cut oil production. But
Hmm.
fuel oil dropping doesn't make sense to me. People have been saying we could run out of diesel. Well, when you get low on diesel in this country, what happens? Supply and demand. The price of diesel usually goes up, and it's gone down. Diesel and fuel oil. The fuel oil, the place I get it from, you can find it on the internet. It's in Troyesville, PA. It's American Fuels. They were 342 for like the past 10 days, the 2 weeks, and now they're down to 330.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason, just like what's going on with the stock market.
And double odd if you're talking about, um, was it Kim Clements' prophecy, The Two Presidents? I have seen that.
Yeah,
And so that kind of, so I just saw a video of um, the wreath at the unknown soldier and how it's been done since Bush and the differences and the oddities. And then when you look up how many cannons, how many seconds between for the um, 21 gun salute. And so if you listen to that, it makes it sound like we haven't had one actual since Bush, except for Trump. And that's kind of weird to me. And so, what does that mean? And Annie's saying it's time that we stand together. In what way? How do you picture that? Dee and I had talked about Hands Across America, where everybody just gets out there,
yep.
joins hands, and make a showing and show that we have the numbers and we're done. That we can't even get that to happen. It's like, I don't know how to get everybody to do something. And that wasn't even, it was just,
All we can do is pray, Barney.
yes,
I mean, but if Trump comes back before 2024, assuming things aren't, set up a certain way that our vote doesn't count, I'll be shocked because we got to fix
Mm.
the system.
Yes.
You figure if he's not our president in 2024, this country's that's it. And we're getting close to the point of no return.
Yeah. But Tony P, I agree with that. Love is the answer, and compassion, and for our fellow man all over the world. Not it's not just here. I saw a video on TikTok, and I haven't been able to share it. And it was done on April the 4th, and it um it was this man showing these videos, and they
Right.
were all hollering in all these different countries, we stand for Trump. It was India, it was Hong Kong, it was China, there was a whole bunch of countries. And I'm thinking, you know, if there's such a big conflict going on over there, how are these people doing this? And they were holding American flags. They were.
Is that your place, Bonnie? The train or Chuck's?
That's
That's
me.
strange.
Chuck's dog barks at the train.
They were dressed in red, white, and blue, and they were just, hey Larry, Terry, and
Well, Bonnie, some of the people that are on the left aren't going to get it until the bad guys do something that directly affects them, where if they speak out and their voice gets silenced, and if it gets too bad economically, that's what it's really going to come down to.
right. But it's like all these countries are sitting there thinking, and Tony P, you're from the UK, I think is what you said. So, but it's almost like all these countries are watching America and rooting for us because it's like we're the last hope. It's like, and we've heard that for years. We're the beacon, we're the whatever, because of the strength of America. What they're trying to do is tear down that strength, and we just have to keep showing, nope, it is not tore down. It is not dead. I saw in one of Trump's speeches his last words in that speech, America is dead. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to believe it.
I think he meant that symbolically. With he figure if China invades Taiwan, some people aren't going to really care at all. Because I was asking Shane last night and Mr. B's brain about that, and it's going to have a bigger effect on how other countries look at us. The opinion of the American people in this country has just gotten so self-centered, so diluted. It's going to be more how other countries look at the U.S. if we don't honor the treaty, and none of us want to get into another war. Figure,
Mm-mm.
if people thought things were bad in the '70s with Carter, this is worse. Actually, even though I didn't like him, from hearing my parents talk about him, Johnson was a better president than what we have now, and
Oh,
I mean that's saying a lot.
I know, but
I mean, this
yeah,
is the worst president we've ever had in our lifetime.
yes,
Because I
absolutely.
was too young to remember Kennedy being assassinated. I was like 2 years old.
Yeah, I was too young to remember Kennedy. Um,
I remember Martin Luther King and RFK though.
yes, and Ted, and
I think they let that guy Sirhan out of jail. Some people's theory is he was paid to do that. Basically, his family was paid off if he did that.
wait, who who
Well,
who are we talking?
well, Sirhan assassinated Robert Kennedy, and
Oh, yeah.
the word was that basically he did that, and his family was compensated for it. And I think this is going to be an interesting week. You figure if all the stuff we buy from China stops being shipped here, a store like the Dollar Tree, they're going to go out of business. Almost everything they sell there is made in China, except for some of the food.
Yeah.
You figure,
I
you figure even household cleaning products, where are they made? Over there.
one of the dresses I got, it says made in China, and I was like, ah. But we can see war never solves anything.
Nope. You figure not unless you're just being attacked by another country, and you have to defend yourself.
Yep. I have another one to share with y'all. We'll see if it goes with this. You okay with that?
Yeah, it's your show, Bonnie.
Okay. Hey, Frog. If you're in your pajamas, you're fine. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Barry J, you're right. We need to build stuff here. That's why I think there's something going on that the mainstream media isn't telling everyone. There's no way we would be drawn for all this oil. I've been saying this for years, how this country should import more stuff from India. Actually, they can compete with China, but because of all the bad blood, there's just too many tariffs on everything. I wonder what Bonnie has here. All right, Reagan.
Many years, we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth. It was because here in this land, we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading My Pledge, he had written these words: America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
Well, the one part I do agree with on that is the moral and strength that we have here. And that's what we need to build back up. That's what we have lost. The morals and values of this nation that we have stood for throughout history, no matter what.
Yeah, he was the first president I ever voted for.
I can't remember.
Did you vote for Reagan in '80, Barney?
I can't remember. That's what I'm
can't
trying
remember.
to. Well, I had 4 little kids at that time, and I can't remember. And the funny thing is, I worked for the Census Bureau from '80 on to I guess it was 1990 was the last time. It was every 10 years, right?
Yeah. I heard on one channel on TV that the next census, they want to have people put on there if their ancestors were slave or if your ancestors had slaves for reparations.
And I just feel like they are making a really big mistake with that. When you take people who have been in poverty and give them a lump sum of money like that, it's going to be no time before they're in poverty again.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this. We've seen it with lottery winners. We've seen it with just too many people. It more destroys lives than benefits.
It's the sins of the father. If somebody's ancestors were had slaves, well, how's that? Why should they be penalized for it?
Yes, and
Yeah, I'm more have nothing to do with that than my neighbor has to do with whatever I do. I'm not responsible for what other people did, related or not, ancestor or not.
Dude, that it happened like hundreds of years ago. You had nothing to do with it. Your parents.
If that's the effect, and if our ancestors we should pay for our ancestors, and every one of us, and everywhere that anybody's at, some of their ancestors have done some shit that to our ancestors that we should be fixed over then. If it's going to be good for one, it's good for all.
Well, and that's what I was fixing to say. If they're going to word it like that, though, hasn't any of your ancestors ever been slaves? Then a lot of people can say yes. The indigenous people, the Irish people, you know, it could it could be a whole lot more than what they're thinking it would be.
There isn't a color of person alive today that wasn't a slave somewhere in history.
Yes.
Yeah, but you still don't hear any of the Jewish people complaining about, okay, how their ancestors were enslaved by the Egyptians. That amazes me. And you figure Israel is as divided as our country is, with the left and the right.
Yeah. Yeah. And yep, even white slaves.
Because certain people don't want them together because they'll be an outright power against them.
Because of division of whatever way you can between people, all you got to do is keep them fighting, and it don't take as many of you to do anything about any of it.
Yeah, let them do your dirty work. You're absolutely right, Chuck.
It's
Yeah.
all tactic.
That's what's been going on for all of history.
Let two duke it out and take out the weak one after he finishes off the other one.
And it, according to some, we're still slaves to taxes,
Yep.
to I just saw something today about, but it was dated April of 22, that all mortgages were taken care of, null and void. Well, I never saw that, heard it, and so I'm like, I need to look into it more to see what it is actually saying, but I don't see how that can be.
I don't believe it either. There's so much disinformation out there. It's like,
Yes.
I paid my property taxes, which were due the end of April.
Yep. Yeah. I pay my taxes. I pay my mortgage. I don't want my house up on the block. I've seen, though, uh, just today, there was one that was saying that um, somebody wants to start taking land
Yep.
and uh, mostly farmlands to put up the windmills, turbine, whatever you call them. You know, that's when people are going to be. I don't know. I say that, but so many farmers and ranchers have already sold out that I don't know. And that was the plan. Make everybody so financially drained that once they start wanting to take the lands and stuff, the people, some of them will willingly do it just to get out of the debt. And we need those farmlands. That's our cattle, that's our produce. Well, that's true, Eddie, about the schools. Yep, we don't know a lot of things, so what is true?
You figure they'll probably start taking farm land, like the areas where there's bigger tracts, before they start going after, the small farmers.
Eddie, how do you still have your house?
Maybe he hasn't paid off. Well, around here, it's a long story. We had a neighbor. This guy was a real piece of work. He had two properties that were sheriff's sale. Court order, U.S. District Court, IRS tax evasion. About like maybe a decade ago.
Yep.
It's like I don't get a newspaper. When my parents were alive, my mother would just come through the sheriff's sales because they would put that in the local newspaper.
Well, and I keep saying, letter to the editor. It's free, and as long as you sign it, they publish it. Hey, Ridge Runner. I can't see the ranchers around me doing that. They're pretty, and that's the thing is, um,
Well, it's
most,
livestock around you, right, Bonnie?
I'm sorry,
I guess it's livestock.
mostly yes,
Yeah, they have cows. Because of
yes,
that climate, it's not with your climate. It's not like they're going to grow corn, wheat, or soybeans.
yeah, and so it's been passed down for generations for the past 100 or more years, and so these families are raised knowing that, and they know that it takes each generation to keep it going. And
Hmm.
so there's no question of that. If they go to college, it may be for agriculture or business or, you know, how to run it to where it's going to make money for them instead of, because, I mean, raising cattle is expensive. And so you have to make those costs plus be able to pay everything else that you have to pay. And
Yeah, they're at the mercy of the weather, just like I am growing Christmas trees. If they
yes,
don't get enough rain, they're going to have to bring in feed for the cows, which is usually corn, instead of the
yes,
cows just grazing. I've been saying this since I started being involved in people's channels. The big problem is too many people in society, mainly the city folks, they don't understand. They're oblivious. They know it, but they don't even think of it, like where food comes from. Like how many people would have the heart to, cut a chicken's head off to have it for dinner?
me.
Yeah, but you're not like the average person.
I know I'm not. Thank you, Jim. It's well that's what it comes down to is survival. It's and survival is a way of life. You just that's where I get kind of confused when people say, "Don't worry, God's got this," and I know this. I mean, anything major that I've done and I've prayed over, it somehow, some way, it all works out to the good. And but at the same time, is um, I know that I have to do things right also in making sure that things are paid and balancing the money and doing a budget, and a lot of things are up to me. I can't just let it go, and that's what I mean by there's things we need to do and keep doing. Ridge Runner teach me how to pluck a chicken. I actually haven't done that. I have not killed a chicken. No, I could if I had to. Killed deer. But I've butchered chicken, hogs, venison,
Well,
whatever,
people can't give up is the thing.
and that's it.
Like
Uh,
I was reading, I forget
Perseverance.
what chapter of Hebrews it was about today, having faith. People have to have faith.
Faith and perseverance, though. We have to have that strength to keep going, too.
Yeah, I don't, because I shoot deer for crop damage. I feel bad seeing a deer die. But if somebody was trying to, I know some people say it'd be
Yes.
different if it involved a human being, but if someone threatened a person's family, in some ways, if I had to take a person's life in self-defense, I don't think that would bother me as much as killing an innocent deer. The reason I shoot deer is because they do so much crop damage.
Yes. And I keep seeing where people are saying that all these people that are just going out and killing people, that it's um, mental health issues. Well, can a 13-year-old child, do you just automatically say because they killed someone they have a mental health issue? I mean, I know that it's against every fiber of our being to kill another person. I would hate to be faced with that situation because I know the repercussions, and not jail if it's self-defense, but at the same time taking the life of another person, it it's going to affect you. You hear
Oh,
it from the police and everybody all the time, military, whoever.
no, but if
And
someone like breaks in your house and tries to harm your wife, your kids, or anything, you got to look at it like what value does their life have? If they're low enough, I saw Bushcraft's video the other day. I was touched by it about how his mother was murdered when he was 2 years old. I had no idea. I figured the person that did that to his mother, he wasn't just the victim. I mean, she wasn't just the victim. Bushcraft, his sister, his dad, they were all victims. Anybody that would do an act of violence like that, their life has no value to me whatsoever.
I understand that and I agree, but at the same time, we as a people, it just seems like these kids that are trying to get into gangs, they're they're all looking for a family unit. I think. I don't think they're getting it at home, and so they're looking for that because that's the way the gangs initiate them and try to explain to them that they are their family, that they will be the ones to always keep them protected.
You figure they're a victim of their circumstance. That's all
Yeah,
they know. It's just like the people that put their suicide vest on in the Middle East to kill other people. That's all they know. Like on one hand, you can't blame them because they weren't raised. Some of those people don't know the difference between good and bad,
between what? Good and bad?
between good and bad.
Yeah,
Because I've talked to enough people in law enforcement. It's a long story with problems with neighbors here, with the state police and the gang commission. Some of these people that commit crimes, it's almost as if they don't have a conscience.
yes.
The people that are like
No
live for
remorse.
criminals, but then these kids in these gangs, I wouldn't say you can say it's an excuse because they're like mentally disturbed. It goes back to, like I said before, victim of circumstances. They don't know the difference between right and wrong.
Right. Because they haven't
Now,
been taught.
then what's going on with these people, with their gender, giving a woman all these male hormones is okay. It's going to cause them to have anger, just like reading stuff years ago, weightlifting magazines, Muscle Builder and Power, about the effects. A man takes anabolic steroids to build up his muscles. It's gonna like mess his brain up. It's gonna bring out like uncontrollable rage, anger. Then with the
Yeah.
drug problem in this country, who knows anymore?
And yes. And so those people are going to be difficult in difficult times. If they are on drugs, responding to the drugs, they're not themselves. That's a given. Um, Ridge Runner, I totally agree with that. And that's what I think it's going to take is a lot of love and a lot of compassion, and but at the same time, it, there needs to be a balance. Okay, that's the kind of person I am. I'm like thinking, okay, a lot more love, a lot more compassion, a lot more, um, you know, if I see someone that needs help, I'm going to help them, even if they're a total stranger. Dangerous? Possibly, most likely. But at the same time, that my heart is telling me that I need to do that. And so, because I am that way, then there needs to be the balance of the person who can. Women kind of have an ability to tell who's good and who's bad sometimes. I'm not going to say all the time because a lot of us have been divorced and we saw how that went. But um, a really good person or a really bad person, you can size up pretty quickly when you see them, meet them, speak to them, whatever. But there at this, there still needs to be that other part of a person that is not tolerable of everything. Does that make sense? Like the in the family, you have a father and a mother. The father is usually a little more disciplinary than the mother is. The mother tries to do the discipline, but the mother's also being a mother, the nurse, the nurturing, the loving, the caring for the children. And so it takes the father to be the one that is more the um
Disciplinarian.
yes, the leader, the
Yeah, but the mother makes the house a home.
yes, for all.
And you mentioned question of balance. I've been saying this on people's channels the past few years. It's like the Moody Blues song "Question." If you listen to the lyrics of that and think, there's so many people, so many old rock groups from the '60s and '70s. You listen to the lyrics of some of those songs, it's really philosophical, and it applies to what's going on today. It's as if some of these people, Pink Floyd and the Moody Blues, were ahead of their time.
Yes.
And most people don't even know that, like, the Middies did stuff that never got played on the radio, like Strange Times, Keys of the Kingdom, and some of the Justin Hayward solo work. And if you listen to some of the stuff they came out with, they're talking about, loving each other and stuff about how people, one song, Belly, about this one guy who went up to the church steeple and took his own life. Figure a lot of the music that came out in the 60s, late 60s, that I love was all stuff about protesting Vietnam. But then it really got down to more the meaning of life. And that's what everybody's trying to find. Everyone's trying to figure out the meaning of life.
Yep.
And then I look at it like this. You were talking about judging people. A good man will turn his cheek. That's what's written in the Gospels.
Yep.
The people that want to argue with other people, they don't turn their cheek.
No.
Unfortunately, I've come across people that thrive on stuff like this. It's as if they're not satisfied. Some people have a need to be in confrontation with other people full time. And that's really sad. Life's too short to be fighting with people.
Yes.
And I've seen it I've seen it occasionally with people on YouTube. If you don't like someone, don't participate in their channel. Life's too short to be arguing with people you see over the internet.
Yes. Yes. If I have a problem, I fix it and it's gone.
Yeah, you move on. If you can't fix it, you just try to stay away from the situation.
Yes.
Because back when I first saw 101's channel, I didn't even know how he got on a live stream. I figured they must all have cell phones.
Mhm.
I'm probably the only one here that doesn't have a cell phone.
You don't have a cell phone?
No. Actually, to get on Telegram, I had to use my son's cell phone because he came and visited last Saturday with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because Bushcraft tried telling me how to do it without a cell phone, and I couldn't get it's called a fake phone number because once I got locked out of Google and had to use my son's cell phone, I called him on the phone or email him. I forgot like a year ago, and he had to get the passcode from a text just so I could log into Google.
Yep. Well, and once you log in, you're on that phone. They have those phones that you can get at any convenience store or anywhere, and I know some people that have like 8 phones that they use. And
A disposable one, Barney?
yes, and each one is for something different. Like, depending on what kind of work they're doing, or
Yeah, but if you use one of those and it runs out of minutes and you need that number to get the passcode to get back in something, then you really got an issue.
you get a what issue?
You'd have an issue. Say you get a disposable phone with a phone number, and then you don't renew the minutes on it, and you get locked out of something. Because I noticed on Telegram, I can't change the phone number unless I receive a passcode for another phone number. It's kind of it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because I can't get a text on a landline. There's people that say you can do it, but I haven't figured it out yet. Because I changed things on Telegram, so I don't have to log in. I just put in a number, and that's the passcode. Because I've been trying to get on there for 2 years and just gave up.
Good night, Terry. Lake and Trillium. I love that song. And it would be nice if everybody would do that. And something I saw. Yeah, double I. I'm the same way. I can walk into a store anywhere, no matter who's working there, and I'm going to be standing there talking for a little bit. Drives my kids crazy. And I don't know. I just feel like that we need more of that, and that makes them see that not everybody is the same. It helps us to see not everybody is the same. People are too quick to group people up. Remember the old days when the biker gangs first started, and then um,
Yeah, the
I
war
don't know,
dog from Hell's Angels.
yeah, yeah, and of course they got a bad reputation, dutifully so, I guess. But then it's like they kind of dissipated. But then whenever anybody would see a group of motorcycles, they would instantly think they were a gang. And so I think we all have a tendency to do that too, to like associate different groups of people with all.
Yeah, Bonnie, people aren't all the same, and there's a lot of them that aren't even sane to begin with.
No, Brew, I don't remember that. So it's been done before. I would really like to, I'm going to have to dig into that because I want to see how it worked. Because I think it's time. I had seen Zach talk about it on 101 doing something like that, and he was going to make the t-shirts, and we were all in, and never heard anything else about it. And
Yeah, I know his friend passed away, and I don't think he's been on 101's channel in at least a year.
yeah, this was a long time ago.
Yep.
And that's then Deanna and I were talking one night, and we were just like, what can we do peacefully to let them know that we just stand together? That's all. We just stand together. That enough is enough. We're not losing our country to all this BS that they're throwing out there every day to try and take it down. And it doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be, you don't even have to have any signs. Just the showing of people standing, holding hands peacefully, showing that the love of our country, if nothing else. Even if they don't all love each other, we can still do that. In Double Odd, it's sad that we're having to do that. I same. I even have maps for the girls how to get to a safe place if anything goes on. We shouldn't even be having to make those maps. We shouldn't be having to have these discussions with our families. But we are. And the more discussions we have with them, the more they understand. And it may take a bit, but then something will happen and they'll say, oh, you were right. And it all comes down to trust. And your family should be the one that trusts you the most, more than people in your community, you would think. But there's people in my community that I know I can trust with my life too. And it comes from talking to people, getting to know people.
Well, I think it's going to take an air raid siren for some people to wake up.
And that's possible. Chuck keeps playing that thing. Some of them aren't going to believe anything's going on until this goes off. And I know over a year ago, I was on Jeff and Heather's panel, and my phone went off with an Amber Alert because we get them regularly, and they were all freaking out. What's it? What does that mean? What is it? What is it? And I said, "It's an Amber Alert. Calm down." And even then, people were so on edge. I think all of us have been on edge and wondering what's going to be next, or you keep seeing all this stuff of what is being done, the trails, the stuff they're putting into things that we rely on, all these things.
Eat, breathe, and drink.
Yes. And so we have to find that peaceful place and get out of it once in a while.
All I know is, people say, "Oh, something bad happens, bug out bag." If something happens, my wife and I, we're not leaving. We're staying put.
Yeah. I'm going to try that as long as I can. Um,
I mean, I don't think there's been any more train derailments this weekend that I
I
know of.
agree. I haven't heard of any either.
Maybe somebody got tired of doing them.
Okay, Brew. And see, that's what I was talking about. I remember um, oh, the big thing for the Farmers Aid or something like that, where they were all
Oh, Farm Aid, I think was that 1986? No, that was
something like
Live
that.
Aid. It was Live Aid, then after that was Farm Aid.
Yes, and they were having all these concerts. The musicians and everybody were in on it, and to raise money for the farmers. Don't know if the farmers got the money. I'm pretty sure the way they did it, somehow they did, but
Well, I remember Live Aid, it was in Philly, and I heard it on the radio working out in the fields, and because they had part of that in the UK, then the other half in the US. My favorite part of Live Aid was when Led Zeppelin reunited and played Stairway to Heaven. I don't think they didn't make as big a deal about Farm Aid.
yeah, that's a good one too.
What's
Awaken Trillium. Put your hand in the hand of the man who stilled the water. He's singing songs. Absolutely, Ridge Runner, no fear.
And Bruce W., I think John Cougar Mellon campus for all this nonsense going on, unfortunately.
And that's it. So many of the celebrities have just gone nuts silly. Um, I'm hoping the concert that I want to go to is next weekend. Boy,
Who
if I could talk to one of them,
you gonna
and I'm sorry,
who you gonna see, Bonnie?
um, Willie Nelson and ZZ Top are playing. It's about an hour and a half from me, and I would really, really like to listen. I don't. It's sold out, so I know I can't get down to the amphitheater, but it's outside, so surely I can park somewhere and hear it. And a lot of times in doing that, if you're parked not in the crowd, sometimes you can actually speak to the people who are doing the concerts. Sometimes. That's what I'm hoping for.
Do you think Willie Nelson is for all this nonsense going on or not?
No, no way.
Okay, because I used to think of him as being more of a lefty, but then there's a big difference between the lefties a few decades ago and now.
Yeah, no, he's always been a rebel. He's always smoked his pot. It's illegal as crazy here. He's always he's the one who created the um, something to run a car, the gasoline that I cannot remember what it was. Well, he may be a leftist, but he's still a rebel. Um, ZZ Top, I don't know where they stand. I just really think, and not to be weird or anything, but just because they're from Texas, Texas has a original Texans have a little bit different outlook on things. Like Ted Nugent, listen to him sometime.
I saw him in 1977 at the Philadelphia Spectrum. A friend of mine, we took a bus down to Philly, and then we got on a subway. Then we had to get on another subway. It's when he was doing Cat Scratch Fever.
Mm.
It was a mob scene. There were people that drank too much, getting sick on each other. It was like we couldn't even take. You figure I was in, let's see, like 10th grade. You figure two teenage boys, we couldn't take the nonsense going on. You figure Ted's a lot different now than he was then.
Yeah.
It was just out of control mayhem.
Well, I've been to places like that too. In Austin, they have a Pecan Street Festival, I think is what they call it. And each block has a different genre of music playing. And so you just keep walking until you find what you're wanting to listen to. And I have seen the one that I was taken to. um, People were on top of the buildings throwing beer bottles down at the crowd below. There was an ambulance at the back of the stage that kept coming and going. Um, People get out of control. That probably wasn't happening over at the country one, but
Well,
I,
Philly's a bad place. Aerosmith, one I forget if it was if it was Steven Tyler or Joe Perry got hit by a beer bottle in like 78, 77, 79.
yeah. Well, and I figure these two, this could be the last concert they ever have. I don't know, maybe not ZZ Top, but Willie Nelson, he's getting pretty old. I don't know if y'all have seen his last song, but it just seemed like he was struggling to sing more.
Well, just like the Mini Blues, there's only two of the original members left, except for Pender, who left the group um, in the late 70s. You figure most of these groups, it's sad, like, Pink Floyd, you know, David Gilmour and Wright, they might be the only two left.
Yeah.
I mean, all the old people are dying, and we're going to be next.
Did you go to Woodstock, Jim?
No, I was too young to go to that.
I think I was too. I don't know what year that was,
Gosh, was
but
that? Yeah, that was the late '60s.
yeah. Was that a peaceful thing?
Not saying pretty peaceful. I mean, I've seen enough of the videos of it. I remember it was like a big deal when he could get the Jimi Hendrix Woodstock on vinyl.
Night, Sherry.
You figure if there was a million people there, the most they could do was hear it.
Yes.
Because look how far that many people, look how far away they'd be from the
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah. There's no way to actually see, but that's why it doesn't bother me to see them, just to hear them. I'm happy with that.
And double out Buck Prep. I would. It's a shame. Pink Floyd, all their tours, even if one album they neglected really was Animals. When they started playing most of their concerts, because I've seen enough of the videos, no songs from Animals at all. It's mostly stuff from The Wall, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and once in a while something from metal. You figure stuff from Adam Hart Mother. There were so many other classics after Sid Barrett left when David Gilmour joined the band that just never gets played anymore.
Yeah. But seemed he was for the children, didn't it?
Pardon me?
Didn't it seem like he was for protecting the children?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that if you look at that video, another brick in the wall with the kids on
Mm-hmm.
the thing, then me coming out of the machine. So like I said, there's hidden music meaning in all this music, and even though the guys from the Eagles are pretty lefty, you look at what's going on Hotel California. Once you come in, you can never leave.
Right. Yeah.
And then some of the people nowadays, because my son's in the entertainment industry, some of these young bands, like some of the ones he's a tour manager of, like, okay, I can't believe I don't even know what their music's like. He's going to be on tour next week with a group called The Devil Wears Prada, and these guys, they're in it for the money. Some of the lyrics they write, I think, is more just to pacify their fans, even if they don't believe in it. I think a lot of music has just gotten so watered down.
Yeah. It has. That's a lot of the entertainers when they first start out. I really like them. Like,
They wrote with passion in their music. They had a meaning behind it.
yeah, Keith Urban and Shania Twain. Um, even Miley Cyrus when she first started. Um, and then it's like they sell their soul and get into all kinds of weird stuff.
Well, there's a price they're going to have to pay.
Yes.
You figure a good person has no price.
Runaway Train. That was by Soul Asylum, wasn't it? I have that DVD. Yeah.
And you figure after Woodstock, they had that Isle of Wight festival over there in Great Britain. That was their equivalent to Woodstock.
Yeah.
You figure people, okay, not that everybody, okay, the younger people know these music groups. It's like you figure, okay, back in our day, Bonnie, I've said this to one-on-one several times about like taking a girl on a date. Okay, people in our age group, if you asked a girl out, instead of going somewhere, have a girl come over to your house and listen to records. You figure we didn't have video games yet, cell phones, computers. Figure listening to music was a big pastime. Figure people in our age group,
Yes.
guys would watch sports on TV, baseball, football. basketball, was never into that, hockey. But it's like, what was the pastime? It was either sports or listening to music.
Yeah. And well, with me, it was because when I moved out to the country, it was a whole new world. You couldn't ride your bicycle all over the place because it was caliche roads. And so later, we got a mini bike, but um, so I walked that ranch all over the place. It was a old ranch, ancient old, had a little tiny cemetery, and the tombstones were all written in German. The dates were 1800s, and um, so that was me. Was just walking a lot and helping with the horses. There was a stable there that they little older couple owned them, and they wanted them worked, and so helping with those. And um, then at night, whenever I had to be at home, I had this little radio, and it was on all night long while I was sleeping. Even plus, I was in band, so there was a lot of practice for that. But um, it and that's where it it just depends on where you live, what you were doing. I think a lot of it.
Yeah, Bonnie, when I was a kid, I was so excited to get my first radio, a little portable AM radio with a 9-volt battery. It
Hmm.
was a transistor radio, and it only got AM. You figure they didn't even have FM. I must have been maybe 4 or 5 years old when I got that thing.
Yep.
And you mentioned, okay, a mini bike. When I when I was in like seventh grade, I want friends of mine, they had mini bikes, and I asked my dad, yeah, could you get me one? He said no, but he said if you start working for me in the nursery and you save enough money, you can buy your own bike, and that's what I did. I got a It had a green gas tank, a Honda MR 175.
And you can remember exactly what it was. I don't remember what ours was.
Yeah, I didn't get the I wanted to get a bigger bike. With the This was like a combination off-road road bike, but it had track tires,
Hmm.
like with the knobby tires. I wanted, I didn't figure it was just big enough to carry me. I wanted a Honda 250 Elsinore. They had a red gas tank, and I thought, okay, I have just enough to get this. It would take like another 6 months to save up to get the 250. I thought, okay, as soon as I get a dirt bike, I'd be all set.
Yep.
Yeah,
It,
nowadays, if someone had a dirt bike around here, where would you ride the thing with all the developments?
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
Laws of
got in some trouble
pollution.
with the cops for riding on the road, and neighboring farmers didn't want me on their property. I mean, I was a hellraiser when I was a teenager.
Well, and around where I live, it's not unusual to see a golf cart riding down the road, or a tractor riding down the road, or a horse being ridden down the road. So, um, again, it depends on where you live.
I mean, some people actually, the neighbor that lives behind us, he's landlocked and he's on one side of a property. He has one of those John Deere Gators just because it's too far to take the trash can,
Yes.
because it's like 711 feet from the road to his property. So it's like, put
Yeah.
it in the back of a gator.
Well, and that's my mother had a mule, and the the 4-wheel mule, not a real mule, and um, they traded it for this little piece of paved driveway. I was so upset because it's 5 acres and I want to be able to go and explore the whole 5 acres, see where the fence lines are and everything. And so we've been looking into getting something again to be able to, because it's raw land. It's no trails, a lot of underbrush, a lot of things need to be done out there, and so that's why we want to look and see what needs to be done.
Yeah, I have no desire at my age to get another motocross bike.
No,
Well, I got the Kubota, so
yeah, that's if I want to go and do something like that. Mom's Cam, I can jump on it anytime and ride it, but that's street bike. It's not for going through rough land. And we've even talked about getting a horse actually for that. So we'll see what happens when we get out there.
yeah, I wouldn't mind having a horse, but I don't have a barn here. Plus, that's a lot of work taking care of a horse.
Dagmar, I don't know why it's embarrassing. I played the flute. My daughter played the flute. Two daughters played the flute. Granddaughter played the clarinet. All of my family plays some kind of an instrument. We have guitars, we have drummers, we have. I remember my grandmother had a mandolin. I think it was a mandolin. That's what she called it. It laid on the table and you played it like that. It had strings. Banjos. My uncle, he sells electric guitars and banjos and acoustic guitars and everything. And then other uncle has a band. Now his kids have taken up the band, and it's just a family thing that has gone down through the generations. And that's because I played the flute, piccolo. I did see Jethro Tull in concert and thought that was pretty cool. An electric flute. First time I'd ever seen that.
But you think of Jethro Tull's that song "Aqualung," that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't care for his music, but um, my first husband was a big fan, and that's how I ended up there. Him and his sister dragged me to this concert, huge
And
pregnant. It was not a not something I wanted to do at that time,
not
but
not being pregnant, no.
no.
And how many groups have had their final concert tour and they're still going on after like 2 years? Their goodbye tour.
Yeah, yeah. Joan Jett still plays around here.
Because Billy Joel's going to play at Citizens Bank Park again this year. And last year, I thought it was his final performance.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's what I think about Willie Nelson, but he may surprise me. He just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, you figure almost all these rockers and country stars like him, they're up in their 70s, approaching 80. And
Oh,
I'm more of a classic rocker than country.
that's cool, Awaken Trillium. Well, and I've grown up with all of it, so I'm adaptable. I like it all. I like the bluegrass clogging. We had a lot of the um, I don't know what you call it. I guess it's bluegrass, Tennessee, the mountain music, square dancing. We had the music for square dancing. A lot of that was country. Well, I guess all of it was.
I think Chuck would know more about that kind of music. What happened to Chuck?
I think Chuck's more into heavy metal,
Is he?
actually. Yeah, he doesn't like my choices of music, I don't think, too much. But I like everything. And that's when I found conspiracy music, I was like, oh, because to me, it's just the talent, just the. Have you ever written a song? I mean, I used to sit and write songs, and um, you have to be in a certain state of mind to be able to do that, even because it's for it has a story, and for it to have the meaning and the behind it, it's usually something that's happened in your life that makes you write that song with those words. I think for me it was, and I've always been a writer. Anything I love to journal, anything going on, and so that's why it's been pretty easy for me to document all this stuff that's been happening and pass it down to my kids, and hopefully they will keep it going so they'll know, future generations will know the truth about what happened during these times, because we know they're going to rewrite it the way they want to. We see that just by news sources can be totally misconstrued to the truth.
Sorry about that. I was on the phone.
No problem.
Son-in-law.
See, okay?
Yeah, everything's all right. Just talking. They're supposed to come over tomorrow. He's one of them. Just talking about
Yeah.
Easter, how it was, and my grandson was gone all day with his mom. Everything going on all right with everybody here.
Yeah, we've just been talking about.
Yeah, Barney and I have had a very nice conversation.
And I told Bonnie before, and everybody that sees it around here, usually I don't get bothered by anything until I either go on a live or go live myself. Then everybody here in the house wants to tell me something, or people start calling. It's like, oh, Chuck's probably doing something. Let's call him.
Oh, that's cool, Dagmar. Goodness, that's some talent. You played
Happy Easter, Bonnie and Jay.
just about everything. Happy Easter, Wyatt. Yeah.
I can't play the instruments. I tried the guitar. I can work on about anything, fix about anything, but
Yeah.
or could.
You got big ass hands. You don't have the dexterity you need for an instrument. He's got the blacksmith hands, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think the best songs I wrote were when I was mad. But they were not nice.
Who was that in the background, Chuck? Is that your son or?
Yeah, it's Wyatt.
Okay. Now I'm gonna have to take off. I need to get up early tomorrow and get some work done here.
Yeah, I'm not going to stay on much longer. I know everybody's probably tired from the full day.
Hey, well, I really enjoyed getting to know you a little better tonight, Bonnie.
It was nice talking to you, Jim.
Okay, who
Thank
knows?
you.
We
Good to
might
see
be,
you, Jim.
yeah, you too, Chuck. We might be seeing each other tomorrow night at 10. Who knows?
Yep.
And they tell them if they play late, because tomorrow's nerd day for me. Everybody shows up over here and it's all day Star Wars stuff. If I ain't there, I'll try to be, but they may stay over. So
Yeah, because Agent J said look for an email, and I thought, well, it's Easter tonight. Who knows? Yeah, because I want to get up tomorrow and get, like I said, get some work done here. Okay, well, thanks for having me on, Bonnie.
Thank you, Jim. Anytime.
I
take it
enjoyed
easy.
talking to you. Yeah,
God
and
bless you.
I'll be seeing you again soon, Chuck. Take care. You're a
See,
good guy.
see you later, bud.
Okay, have a good night, everyone. Bye.
You too. Good night. Yeah, we can Trillium. That's funny you said that because one of them that I did, we had a local band that started branching out, and um, they asked if they could buy one of them that I had written. What I should have done was said, just give me a certain percentage of everything you make from this song. But I still have a copy. Actually, I think I still have it memorized. I don't know. Probably not. Is there anything new you want to talk about? Anything going on? Anything?
Nothing I've seen.
Yeah, I saw where uh, Abbott is gonna
Yeah, I saw that.
try to pardon that sergeant. That's good.
Needs to. This dude was acting a fool,
Yes.
and he
Yeah,
was just
there's
defending himself. It's like, oh, you got to be shot multiple times before you can defend yourself.
and that's it. That's what's wrong with the judicial system. 17 hours they sat back there deciding this man's fate, self-defense from an armed man. He had a AK something or other. I can't remember what it was. And then throw him in jail for defending himself. No.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry he died, but he effed around and found out.
Yep. Yeah, I love all kinds of music too. And we were talking about some country music, and Jim said you would know more about that. And I said, I think Chuck's more into metal, heavy metal, maybe.
I listened to a lot of the older stuff, but it was, like I said, Alabama, Charlie Daniels, Hank Williams Jr. I listened to Hank Sr. some, and Johnny Cash, and the stuff my dad, the truck driver music from the 60s and 70s.
I listen to country music with band.
Yeah, we were kind of listen to it or go to sleep. And that's what my mother, she listened to all kinds of music too. It could be 50s rock and roll and or Charlie Pride and all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, Red Runner. Said he writes poems and songs too. And here he comes.
George Strait, Reba McEntire, and Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Larry. And that's where I saw Abbott is going after the DAs also. All of them.
Yeah, I'm like you. I don't want to hear about going after. I want to hear, oh, these ones were locked up today.
Well, Double I, that Rittenhouse boy, he hasn't had to do that, has he? Have a lot of people gone hunting him down? We can pray that that doesn't happen.
Bonnie, you heard from Rabbit or Camo?
Um, Carl got his sleep schedule back on track, I think. This is the last I heard. And Rabbit, I think there was an email. Yeah, not yet. Um, I think that goes to court this week. The sentencing. He has to wait. I think he has to wait until the sentencing is done before he can pardon. I saw the article. It's all laid out there how they have to do it legally. Dagmar, that's funny. We used to go to oh my goodness, what where they do the polka and all of that. Is polka German?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Germans around here, so a
That
lot of German music.
accordion music.
Yes. Yeah,
Great.
we have a Oktoberfest, and they even wear the costumes, the German, the shorts with the overall things. I don't even know what they're called. My mother actually belonged to a German. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it was called either.
Those shorts are lederhosen.
And she wore the dresses. And she would make the dresses. And oh, it was Polish. Oh, I think a lot of them, because my son-in-law is Hungarian, and I think it's all kind of mixed together there. German, Hungarian. I guess it's all Russia, isn't it? I don't know.
German, Hungarian, and Polish.
Yeah, well, you can speak a lot of languages. I finally got the translator on my phone tonight to be able to talk to his mother. 'Cause she's learning English, but she doesn't have a whole lot of it yet. One thing we agreed on, kids never grow up.
Not to their parents.
Echo, I saw that. Yeah. Warren County, Wisconsin. I think there was another one in Boston also. And that's, I had seen a 13-year-old stole a car, hit two other cars, one dead, one like 12 injured. And that's why I was saying that about the kids. It, back when I was in the city as a kid, we had the YMCA. We hung out there. We, I don't know. I just times are so different now. Okay, you're from Germany. Yeah, I can't remember the city my mother lived in Germany for 3 years. It started with an F.
Frankfurt?
Me. That's what I'm thinking. It's Frankfurt, but I'm not real sure. I know she was on the Autobahn, and I don't think I'd ever want to drive on the Autobahn.
You used to be
Not,
driving fast, as long as you're driving safe.
mm, there's no speed limit. So if there's a wreck, it's over, no matter what. Like in Trillium, I saw that 12-year-old was charged with murder. Um, my voice sounds muffled. I don't know why that is, David. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was another one. That was a gang. I think that was in Florida. Gang related thing where they were just shooting at each other. How are these kids getting these guns? I listened to the sheriff talking about that, and he was saying this is another case of I want you to know it was not the gun that did it. It was these kids. And if these kids want to get a hold of guns, they're going to, one way or the other. Night, David.
Good night, David.
I don't know. I just, the big brother, big sister thing that they had going for a long time. And it just seems like if we started things like that, even, I don't know if they're still going on or not, but those were good programs. You would spend time with those kids and camping, fishing, taking them to do life things that they don't get to do at home. When I was a single mother, there was a man from church that would take my kids to do that. Take them fishing, hunting, just so they had a male influence. Kids need that. A strong male influence. That sheriff talked like the parents didn't even know, the two mothers. Mm. Well, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and close it up for tonight. Y'all try and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna get
Sleep,
off here.
others.
I'm just not with it. I talk to him on the phone. I'm really not up to really talking. I guess it's kind of depressing or something.
Well, hold on a minute. Yes, awaken children. I agree. Well, y'all have a blessed night. I'm sure we'll see you around somewhere tomorrow night. Be safe. Think of ideas for these kids.
Good night, everybody. Much love.
We got to teach them right from wrong somehow, some way. Love y'all. God bless you and good night.